Welcome, welcome, welcome to the third in a series of 6 live shows that I'm doing that relates to generating new business for tech, SaaS and services organisations. Always one of the things about doing these live shows is have we got everything sorted out? Is everything working? Is everything going to work as it was planned to? So far, so good. I've got a screen up here that you might see me looking to, but that's kind of like a reference monitor. But anyway, I hope you've had a good week, and I hope you enjoyed last week's show if you were with me last week. Now, the point of these shows is that we are in the process of presenting and looking to communicate a different way to generate new business. And the big deal with this is that we have become used to doing new business in a certain way. We have, all of us, been told you will do it this way. And dutifully, we've done it. And so the thing about this is that when it comes to generating new business, there's some consistencies. Not good ones, but some consistencies. And it's with a lack of new business, the lack of revenue, the lack of consistency. And so what we want to do as part and parcel of all of this, I'll put this up here, as part and parcel of this is we want to communicate these new ideas, but to the people that we say matter. And those people are CEOs, managing directors, CGOs, CROs, VPs of sales and salespeople. And I'll come on to that in a minute, but I suppose my sense of what's been going on is that the digital marketing infrastructure has had its time. You've been given everything, all the budget and everything else, and you've failed. You come up wanting. And so we have to change what we're doing if we want to be successful, of course. But the important thing is well, change to do what? What's the solution? And unless you've got a solution, no one's going to listen to you, ever. And unless you've got a comparison to say, okay, we're doing this here. What happens if we do this over here? What is the alternative? And that's kind of like the big problem. This week, we're going to go through these few points here. The critical point is about mastering growth. This isn't some snake oil nonsense. This is about understanding what's happened over the past 35 years and saying we need to change. I might not look that old, but I've been doing it for a long time. Looking at a method that can give you exposure at scale, and then looking through some of the infrastructure changes that can be made that can make that happen. So I'll just go on to this one. I'm going to kick off. You're going to like this. I've got a bit of a story to tell. and I got a smile because it does make me smile. So we've got a bit of an analogy that we could kind of build around James Bond and Spectre. So it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but you've got to understand why there's a marketing problem in the first place before we can move on. So here we go. So you can imagine they're all sitting around the table, whether it was the Spectre itself, the second from last one, but all the operatives are sitting around the table, and you've got your man with his white cat. So Google's there. He's asked to speak up. He says, yes, number one. We've got every business paying for clicks, but they're not getting any business from it. Marketo, as the leader for marketing automation and spokesperson for HubSpot and Pardot, says, yes, number one. We've convinced all the B2B companies to pay for our software every month and pay millions every day to Google for pay-per-click, but they still don't know that they're hiding all their content, so Google can't and won't index them on the search engines. The reverse IP lookup representative speaking for Lead Forensics, Candy and Demandbase beams to number one and says, joining them, number one. We've convinced businesses they need to stalk their prospects by telling them who's visiting their websites, and we give them the telephone numbers for them to keep cold calling. This is still working well with our ABM strategies that makes businesses think they have to market to everyone in the company, massively increasing their workload but not getting any better results. Number one says, I'm pleased to see businesses are still cold calling. The 50-year-old strategies are always the best. What are the current cold calling success rates? The spin-selling Miller Hyman spokesperson for salespeople, BDRs and SDRs pipes up. It's currently 400 to 1, number one, and getting worse by the day as more and more people work from home. Excellent, says number one. Microsoft stands up and says, we have, number one, maintained the illusion that B2B companies can achieve the same results as B2C, and the requests for investment gets ever longer. This means our investor operatives are commanding a higher percentage of their new businesses before they've even started trading. Commendable, Microsoft, as always. Is there any other news to report? The government agent slowly stands to attention and says, number one, I'm pleased to inform you that we have a record number of business failures. Even with the futility of pandemic bailouts, we've exceeded the average of 500,000 business failures every year. And businesses are so focused on survival, they fail to realise they can't achieve any higher than the average of 120 grand per person per annum because of the collective systems we've all put in place. Number one, whilst stroking his white cat with his identity obscured by frosted glass, concludes the meeting by saying, well done, ladies and gentlemen. Your regular bonuses will be transferred to your Swiss bank accounts as always. As the steel shutters roll down, he bids them goodbye until next year's gathering of the big tech Martech controllers. Okay, the end. But the point is, it could seem like there's some kind of conspiracy that's going on there because you've got all this software and Martech, sales tech, Martech stacks, sales tech stacks, and so on and so on. So what's going on? What could be done? Well, you think, well, we're told marketing's complicated. But sales isn't. Sales not complicated, is it? We know it's not. It's never been complicated. We can all do it. Anybody can do it, can't they? But the thing is, there are no university degrees for salespeople. You can get a university degree for marketing, SIM qualification for marketing, but nothing for sales. And the marketing people tend to say, well, we're giving you all these leads, but, you know, what's going on? Why aren't you closing them? And you kind of get to this point. So if you're giving us all this stuff, salespeople say, well, where are they? And if it was that, you know, I just think that the process surrounding marketing, they want to make it appear as if it's very complicated with the massive stacks they've got to put together. But the reality is that there are some fundamental problems. Now, if you look, rather than watch John Travolta twitching, I'll just put this, I'll come on to this in a second. But if you listen to it, just for a second, the reason that we're not millionaires with all this technology that's available is because it's snake oil. It's a blag. It's nonsense when it comes to B2B selling. And I think that the crux of it is the B2B buyer wants to remain anonymous. I do, and I know you do. You don't want people calling you up. So the point is we want this anonymity, but marketers think it doesn't exist. So do you remember, it's got, stop the pigeon, you can see where I'm going with this. It's a not misplaced childhood, but Stop the Pigeon. It was Dastardly and Muttley. It was Stop the Pigeon, and the theme music was like grab him, nab him, snab him, smash him, whatever. And that's what marketers want to do with prospects. They want to grab hold of them, leave out something to entice the prospect with, and then grab them and get their details and everything else, and sit there like a Cheshire cat and give the information and say, there's a lead. It's like, no, life doesn't work that way. So when we come to this point of what is going on, why is there this constant problem? If you look at ABM, I read an article this week about ABM, and this guy said that within ABM strategies, you need to account or accommodate 14 people, 7 active, 7 infrequently active. If you follow ABM through to its proper conclusion, it means you need 14 pieces of personalised content for everybody. You have to think about that. So everything I'm saying, multiply it by 14. Everything I said last week and the week before, multiply it by 14. They went on to say, yes, but, you see, with ABM, sales and marketing, we're all in this together. We're all part of the same team. And I'm thinking, really? Oh yeah, we're all part of the same team. If you liken it to a soccer match, to a football match. So you're going to pass the ball to each other and so on, and it's all a joint effort, and someone scores, but so what? It's irrelevant. The team won. Clearly, this guy had not heard of the Ballon d'Or, Cristiano Ronaldo, or Messi, and the millions and millions and millions they're paid, and the bonuses they're paid for scoring the goal, which is what you get as people involved in sales. You get to score the goal. You get the bonus. So if you look at that and you think, it's the worst analogy ever. But then the point of the article was about how to defend your marketing budget. So you're given this naff analogy, yet you're helping CMOs defend their budget. Well, if you're not getting any leads, anybody that is honourable toward the company will go, well, look, I don't want any, don't give me any money, I don't care. We need to get a way of making sure we're engaging prospects and so on. Budget's irrelevant. We're all on the same team, aren't we? Aren't we? Clearly not. This guy said, and if you're not happy, speaking to your board of directors, I'll come along and I'll do the work for you. Could you imagine? Sorry, I know I'm the CMO, but I feel a bit awkward saying this, so I've got this guy to come in and say it on my behalf. Really? I mean, it's just awful. So the $64,000 question is, how do you get the ball rolling? And we go back to this. The problem that has grown over the years is marketing tend, in most cases, operate as if they were manufacturing, doing just in time. 1 or 2 emails here, 1 or 2 efforts here and there and so on. It's all just in time. Nothing genuinely long term, which is what I'm going to come on to in a minute. Why is that? Is that because of this? Patience. Quite happy to go in and fight for your budget and fight for this and go into battle with people, but not have the patience to come up with something that says, I need to hang my hat on this, and not prepared to hang their hat on anything. They just want to go for somebody's jugular who might want to buy something, maybe, just because they showed a minuscule element of interest, and they think that's a lead. But it's because they have no patience. And the reason that this seems to be acceptable is because, that the likes of Einstein saying, well, yeah, it's easy making something complicated. Anyone could do that. And that's exactly what's happened. You've got so many different pieces of software and stacks to deal with that you need an army of people to actually make it all work together, if indeed any of them would know how to make it work together in the first place. That's one of the challenges for lots of businesses. But I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm just saying, just make it simple. And so you look at that tech stack, and then you look at the people that you've got to get involved with you, because if you've got all that tech stack and the MarTech and the marketing automation, ABM, ABX, you've then got to have information to populate it. So got to use Zoom Info, Cognism, and so on to give you all the financial firmographic data, to integrate that, to put that into Salesforce and Dynamics or whichever CRM you're using. And it's like, yeah, it's really complicated. Yeah, it's really complicated. It surprises me. It really does surprise me. So that kind of, again, it's really, I really want to hit home the point that the futility of what's been going on, and you're sitting there going, but we haven't got any leads. I can see you lot doing all this work, but where are the leads? Where are the people that are genuinely interested? The people that got their feet on the street are the salespeople, and your product doesn't change every 5 seconds, which means they're probably trained up really well in selling and discussing and communicating your product. So where are the leads? They're consistent in what they're doing. They can't chop and change, and they don't chop and change what they do. They don't split test their sales processes. So if their activity is on the one hand with salespeople, their environment doesn't change. So where are the leads? You've had 20 years to do this. You should be masters at it by now, because the salesperson doing his job, her job, is doing the same thing over and over. They understand the product and how that product affects and works with given prospects in given scenarios. So there's a disconnect. We know there's a disconnect. There's always been a disconnect. But what's been happening is marketing have been getting away with the loudest voice, saying, oh, it's not our fault, it's yours. So what are we going to do about it? Well, the thing is, we talked about content last week. And really important to have varied content that suits the desire, really, of the prospect that's looking at any given time, depending on where they are, whether they want to watch it or listen to it or read it, whatever. So how do you reach out to people and maintain a level of awareness to build your brand? Now, if you've got this just in time, this manufacturing mentality of just chucking stuff out there, or write a blog and just post the link from your website to create a post in LinkedIn, it's not going to work. So why doesn't it work, and what needs to be done? I'm not going to read that out to you. You've read that. So back in 1997, there's this guy called Jeffrey Lant, Dr. Jeffrey Lant, and he said that between 7 to 10 touches were required in order to get onto somebody's radar, for them to recognise you. You think, okay, 1997. And even then, 1 in 3 would get through, because gone to lunch, gone to the loo, not around, on holiday, pretty much the same reasons why you can't get through to people on a phone call, and some. Delete, we all do it. So then it took 7 to 10 attempts, 1 in 3, which meant 30. You had to have 30 things lined up. Why? So where are we now? What's going on now? Well, if you come to now, you think, you get that. You understand that noise. There are so many distractions, so many things going on, so many different platforms. You've got to be everywhere all at once, per se. But it's not just the noise that you're dealing with. There are the brands. Now, I've just selected there. They're nothing special. They're just brands. But you've got brands, luxury brands, non-luxury brands. All of them are appearing on every news feed everywhere. So you think your competition, you sell, say for example, you sell software, and you perceive your competition being another software company. That would make sense. But they're not. That's not your competition, really, in a way. Not when you're looking to raise awareness. Your competition is everything and everyone. So I'm not looking at your post. That's right. They're looking at all the other noise as their thumb is flicking up on their phone. So whereas in 97 you needed 30 pieces of, or 30 messaging, there's lots of formats that the messaging can take shape as. Yeah. So if you needed that many messages then, now that people are saying it's like 25, 30 messages are required to get onto someone's radar before they start to recognise you. That's a shed load of messages going out. But then 1 in 3 get through. I mean, it's just easy maths. It's probably more. But say call it 1 in 3. So now, like I said there, you need 90. 90 messages. I mean, and you've got to have that. That's constant. That's forever, pretty much. You've got to maintain that. Why have you got to maintain that? Let me just let me get rid of that for a second. Why do you need 90? If you wanted to communicate, to connect with someone on LinkedIn, you'd see them. They're the right company. They're the right size of business. Whatever parameters or criteria you've got. You know, I'm going to connect with this managing director or CEO or whoever, whatever's going on. So I'd like to connect with, whatever. 4, 5, 6 weeks later, they connect with you. And you go, oh, great, it's connected with me. And what typically happens is like, I just jump on them and go, you're going to phone them and message them and can I see you, can I see you, can I see you? Book an appointment with me here. And they go, oh, give me a break. Not interested. But that's an aside. So it takes that person, say 4, even 6 weeks to connect with you. That's because they've accepted your invitation to connect. 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're going to do any advertising, which day are you going to decide that particular prospect or your prospects are going to go online and wait to see your advert? Absolutely impossible. You could never do it. It's like when people go, oh, are you on Twitter? Do you tweet? You go, well, what's the point? If my followers are not there at the same time, if I'm tweeting and they're not there, I'm tweeting to fresh air. Yes, you can scroll down your feed. How long have you got? If you're a business owner running a company, you don't spend time scrolling for goodness knows how long. And even if you did, you go on social infrequently, oh look, I recognise him. Bingo, you've achieved it. It's a long journey. It's a long game. So when it comes back to this, how do you do it? How do you go about creating an infrastructure that enables your company to stay front of mind and on people's radar with the least effort and least cost? We've got this thing called Social 444. It's an easy way to describe it. 4 adverts, 4 times a day, over 4 weeks, and repeat. 444. Simple. How do we do it? What we want to do, or not how, but what's it about? It's about keeping adverts, not article or blog links, but adverts, just images, with a link back to our content. It's not complicated, but it's easily doable. So, on the left here is an advert. You may have seen similar stuff that we've done on LinkedIn. That advert goes on LinkedIn, plus the other platforms as well, but we're only concentrating on LinkedIn. On the top right-hand side is the article page that the advert relates to. The article page is indexed by Google. It's on page 1. And below is the text that we use. So when you fill out a LinkedIn post, you've got a bit of text at the top, image can go there, or whatever image you want to post up goes below it. So that's what we did. So we set the pictures up, and the pictures were done in Mid-Journey, so we used AI for that. Don't worry about it. I know it looks like a bit of a messy slide, but work with me on this. At the top, that top row on the left, you can see the asterisks. That asterisk, that star there, is that image there. Okay? So I did 5 themes. We've got a nolling layout. It's called a nolling layout when you lay all things out in order. A nolling layout. We've got Star Wars. We've got orcs. We've got kind of old-fashioned in the beige one there, and then finally we've got what was the last one? I can't remember what the last one was. I'll come on to it. But basically a whole sequence and series of Renaissance. So we've put podcast mics and video cameras and stuff like that with people that were from the 17th, 16th, 17th century outfits and so on. Do they work? Well, yeah, they do work, but for different people. You can't say this one advert's going to work. Who knows? So we've got 90 odd adverts there. And the information on the right-hand side just are kind of reinforcing this to say, so we did the adverts. The adverts were put onto a spreadsheet. We worked out what the URLs should be in conjunction with Google so we can track it. And then once all of that was set up, all that information was done, we put it on a platform called Recur Post, Set and Forget. Oh yeah, it took a while. Not very long though. The longest thing that that took the time were the adverts. But so what? Do it once, and then you can change them. And the point of the adverts, if you're looking at that, you as a business owner, you in a company go, well, okay, well these are all our adverts. What do we? So this is our tone of voice, is it? This is how we're presenting ourselves. You go, yeah, I love it. Or, oh, I'm not so sure about that. But you're able to see your tone of voice. That's the point, that you can communicate who you are in different ways and methods, but every single one of those adverts links to our content. That's it. That's that. It's not complicated. So we've got this whole thing about set and forget. And I did 92 there. I think I'd had enough. But the point was, I did 92, but we've got loads of other content. We've got infographics and downloads and things like this, for example. I did this infographic. It gives you the opportunity and anybody to write stuff and put stuff up that they want to post up. So so we have 120 appearances, give or take, every month. That's every month. That's probably more content than you put out. You've got to think about that. I'm a consultant. Yeah, it's what I do. I advise companies what they need to do and how they need to set up. Here's everything that you need. It's all in writing. It's all online. It's all on video. It's all on stream. Go and do it. But how much content are you putting out? You think about most businesses, whether you use Octopost or any of these other companies, take the link that relates to a blog post, and I talked about blogs and versus articles last week. But they just take that and just post up the bog standard stock photo that appears that they used on the blog, and just post that up, and hopefully people will watch it or read it. No. The point of the adverts is you're advertising your content. You want to engage, but you want people to engage with you and your content. So sell it to them. And brother, don't worry about selling your product. You want to be thought of as a thought leader. You want to position your company as almost an educational organisation that will help people achieve their goals. So sell your content. And we talked about it last week. If the content's no good, people won't read it. So therefore work to that structure that says it should be 1,500 to 1,700 words long, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So sell your content. And this is the perfect way of doing that, because it's on autopilot. That's what you want. And you can kind of start thinking, well, wait a second, if we've got this on autopilot and we've got all these 120 adverts every month, 4 times a day going out, it doesn't matter when people go online. Does it? Not at all. Because you're always going to be there. So you can like tick that one off. So that's the point. That's the point of this. If you want, there's a download. Of course, there's a download on our website. Go to our website, go under downloads, and download this. In fact, it's also in the drop-down menu when you go onto it. So that's the point. So then there's a big issue. Thinking, wow, I mean, all this work, all this activity, how much is it going to cost? It costs a fortune, isn't it? Go, well, no, You've probably got graphic designers, probably, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But you want a finite number of graphics done. You have X number of people working for you. You can obtain your themes to do with certain adverts from your staff. You've then got Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and the other AI platforms. You don't have to worry just about stock photos. Do anything you like. It doesn't matter. Chop and change, use stock, chop up stock, blend them, look at our stuff, look what we've done. But the point is that they're just graphics. If, assuming, say for example, assuming you've got your content, these are just graphics that point people to go and look at and read your content. That's all we're doing at the moment. But what we've got, the reason I put this up here, I've got a spreadsheet that has got 25 tabs on it. And each of those tabs represent all of the work that needs to be done. We're talking streaming, video, podcast, written content, the number of days involved, how long it would take, what needs to be done, how much needs to be done, all of the different recommendations. And that shows you that you can create a complete comparison. I mean, seriously important comparison. So everything that you're spending at the moment to what I say it should be. And ours is, by comparison, is pennies. Of course I want you to ring me up and say, come and set it all up for us and make it all happen. Of course I do. But that takes time. And that's why we're doing these live shows. Because it means you start to get to know me, get to know how I present and what I'm presenting and so on. You can make a decision. But decision to do what? A decision to evaluate what you're doing at the moment, why it's not working. I have never come across one company, business-to-business company, that said, oh, we're absolutely smashing it on inbound leads. Our salespeople love us. Said nobody ever. You want pipeline? How are you going to do it? Next week's a good live show. Trust me. Anyway, so we then move on to, I just want to touch on this because it's a really, really important part, but I'm not saying you're not technical, because you are technical, but there's no need to go through it in detail here. Monitoring speed. Google will send somebody to your website, or any website, based upon the speed in which that website serves that browser. Google consider the browser to be their customer first. If your website's slow, if there's too many, the cumulative shift, and it takes too long to contentively paint what needs to go in, and so there's a whole raft of things. If it doesn't happen quickly, you're not going to get the traffic. So that's because of Google. Put Google to one side for a minute and go, well, what about your customers? You consider your customers. Deliver it what needs to be delivered to your customers for your reasons, not for Google's. So there's GT Matrix and Lighthouse and different things that you could use that identify exactly what's wrong and tell you what to change. That's the first thing. Second thing, managing your content. Last week we talked about primary, secondary, general, product and how to buy, classifications for all of your content. Doesn't matter what it is. With that, you then put an open graph tag in the metadata, which means you can identify it. Once you've identified it, you can see in your Google Analytics how long people are reading it or what people are reading. And going back to the information to do with the Star Wars Stormtroopers advert we saw, all that data there that we had from Google meant that we could identify each individual advert, and because of the managing the content, because of the open graph tags, match the two together. We know this advert went to this page, and they read it for how long? For as long as the tag manager triggers told us. So you use analytics in conjunction with tag manager, both free from Google, unless you're a much larger organisation. But so our tag manager says, yes, they've gone on. Excuse me, they've gone onto this page. Excuse me. What's that all about? Yeah, yes, they've gone onto this page. But now I can see how far down, what percentages they've scrolled down the page. Did they stop? and watch that video. If they did watch the video, how long did they watch the video for? And did they continue to the bottom of the page and click the call to action that I put on the page? And anything else? Oh, downloads. Did they download anything? If they did, what did they download? Happy days. Because what all of that says, is that everything that I said last week and this week is completely monitored. Absolutely everything is monitored, which means it's managed. And if you can manage it, great. Which goes back to, if your content's no good, and I've got to use it kind of loosely, if it's no good, change it. Get rid of it or change it, update it, improve it, do whatever needs to be done. Keep an eye on it, as you would a salesperson. If they were consistently bad, you'd fire them. Bad, you would fire them. If your content is consistently underperforming because you've got a really high bounce rate, it means it's not working. Great, change it. It costs you nothing. And so far, the recur post thing I talked about posting it 4 times a day, every day, forever, is 40 quid a month. Dollars, I don't know, $50 a month. So it's not about the money. It's about using this to go, this isn't working over here. What are we supposed to do? If something's not working, what do you do? And it's a bit like, well, nobody has come up with a different idea, with a different approach. And because going right the way back to today's present, what I started off saying, marketing want to get everybody to perceive that it's ever so complicated. But it's not. We know it's not. Marketing are admin people. That's what they are. That's their role. That's their job. They are not entrepreneurially creative individuals that are going to flip your business and help you make millions. Never, ever, ever. Salespeople will, but not marketing. They're admin. So they're admin. Tell them what they need to do next. Do this. It costs nothing and gives you massive exposure. What do you want? Oh, and the salespeople are going, but we need exposure. We're not reaching anyone. And you've got PDRs, needle in a haystack, picking up one piece of hay at a time, trying to build your business. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So, next part of this is this. It's called Content Stack. Now, Content Stack is something you do for your customers, your prospects. And what is it? It's a single page on your website that helps them with everything, everywhere, all at once. I know it was a film, but yeah. So this is our content stack. Can I get the right angle there? There you go. So our content stack, we've got a video there that explains what it is. We've got 4 stages, as you can see on the right. Stage 1, that was last week. Stage 2 is this week. Stage 3 is next, and so on. And so anybody can go to this page and look at it and go, right, Nigel thinks that we should read this stuff. And once you've read it, you will be enlightened about what the score is. And then there's a call to action at the bottom. You'll contact me. Because you could evaluate whether I'm talking absolute nonsense or not and say, we'd love to work with him, or you've got to be joking. You wouldn't say that. I'm sure you would. But so everything's there. We have to hold what we've got as companies. We must hold what we have with open hands, not like that. Holding it like that causes problems. That's called an email form on marketing automation. We've got all this information, but we're not going to give it to you. You go, take it. That's what we did in the past. Yeah? You'd give, quite happy to send a salesperson halfway around the world to go and see a new prospect. It costs you a fortune. But to get to that point, you want to hold on to all your content. No. Give it to people. The more people that know your content, brilliant. You go and download our brochure. The telephone number's on it. The email address is on it. You can contact us anyway, anyhow. When you're ready. I'm never, ever going to call you. Trust me. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah. So going back to that, so there's your content stack. It works well. It's very effective. I know this because of our analytics. We know what people are doing. We know our bounce rate has dropped down. It's like 60%. We know that, no, it did go up. It did go up. It did go up to like 80, 90%. It drops down again. The time on page, you look at the time on page, and because if you've been using analytics for long enough, you know that people will have been visiting your site, stay and leave and so on. So you've got like 2 or 3 years tracking, as long as you changed over to GA4, so Google Analytics 4, because Universal's stopped now. I think it stops in August. So you'll have your analytics from there, but they're separate. So hopefully your team have put you on Google Analytics 4 because Universal's finished this year. And you'll lose all your any ongoing data. So, what's this about? Ultimately, this is still about changing the way that you do things. If you haven't got a comparison, keep quiet. As business owners, we know. Don't come to me with a complaint. I'm not interested in you moaning. Come to me with solutions. And that's what these series of live streams are about. They're solutions. And they've got to be logical. Absolutely logical. There's a couple of things. I've got this I see this book. Whoops, sorry about that. Don't Make Me Think, Steve Krug. Yeah, there's a book about it. I mean, this is about web. It's about web design and user experience and so on. It's about communicating everything so people don't have to think. So they go, I understand what you're saying. I get it. I did this. I mean, I did this. I wrote this book a few years ago. It's a dummies type book, and the reason I say it's a dummies type book is because of the index. So we've got a standard index there, which you can just about see, and then we've got the detailed index, which is after that. And this is about the integration of technology to generate a profit. You can download this on the website, of course, and you can get it from Amazon. But what I'm saying is you need to communicate who and what you are in the easiest way possible. And they'll love you for it. People always love you for it. But it needs to kind of be blend. It needs to blend it with not being desperate. You've got your mechanism in place, whatever it is at the moment, fine, crack on. But where we're going with this is we're doing something that you can start and it will not stop. It will just keep gathering momentum and keep growing. And that is what you have always wanted for the whole time that you've ever been in business. But marketing have let you down. Digital marketing has let B2Bs down. And that's why what we've got here, we have this operating system. And there is a mechanism. If I was just saying just do a bit here and a bit there, it's incomplete. We as an organisation, we need to communicate to you an end-to-end alternative strategy. And within that, that's going to include who does what. We've got technology, content and revenue. They're not the top, just the middle one, a quarter of the way down, those blue. Technology, content and revenue. And there's a method, and below that are all the different people within those different groups. The middle one is content, which can be very large. But they are a different group of people to whom you employ right now. You've got to understand it. Do you employ them? Do you contract out? Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant because you need a finite amount of content. And we'll talk about more things like that next week. But the point of this is that you can, from there, we've got the, again, download on our website. Anybody talking to you about different ways of operating and functioning must be able to go from attraction to retention. You've got to get in there first. You've got to be able to generate that interest and then follow that through. And the point of what we want to do here is provide a mechanism that prospects can find you, engage with you, learn from you, and decide to buy from you before you've even spoken to them. And your salespeople will walk in there or do it online and clean up. Because that's what every single person, every single business is looking to do. Want to self-educate, listen to Gartner, want to self-educate, 83% want to self-educate, self-serve, and speak to a salesperson when they're ready. So therefore, next week, we're going to talk about how to reach the largest possible group of people on a regular basis than you've ever done, ever. And it's not just this. There's a mechanism that we apply that means you can reach out to them and invite the people that are looking. So we covered this. We covered the problem. We covered the way of being able to reach out to the largest number of people, but maintain that visibility on the platforms that they're at. So I might, we talked about LinkedIn, but with the same software, there's no difference in the same software goes out to LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and multiple accounts, like I said. So, between you and your staff and your company pages and so on, you will have thousands or tens of thousands of people that you're connected with. Let them know what you're doing. Put the information out. Right the way through to here's the infrastructure. We have an infrastructure strategy. It's available. Go on our website. Go and download it. That's it. It's not complicated. And then next week, finally, like I said, engaging with prospects at scale. Best part ever. The simplest analogy is you're watching me. I don't know how many people are watching me. I think that might faze me one way or the other. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Because the point is, there could be 1, could be 10, could be 10,000. It's irrelevant. You can have your team doing this every week, exactly as I'm doing, to, who knows, thousands and thousands of people. But imagine you've got this large team of BDRs who are doing this needle in a haystack ringing and trying to find people on Sales Navigator and so on. And you go, okay, draw a line, put that there to one side. Might feel a bit awkward just getting rid of them all at once. And then you set something like this up in parallel. Because you've got the comparison and so on, yeah? You set it up in parallel and think, okay, we've got a couple of 3 cameras and a couple of people that are gregarious enough and outgoing enough to be happy to sit in front of a camera and do this. When I get more nervous right at the beginning, is everything going to work? But doing it, there's me and a camera. So that's it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And join me next week and we're going to go through how to reach thousands, tens of thousands of people, doesn't matter where they are, in the world. So if you're thinking of expanding to another country, do this first. Yeah? So I hope you enjoyed that. That's all from me. I'm going to press this last button and that should play another video and we'll be done. So that's it. See you next week. Bye for now.